Typical real man, tap and toe and heel man, hearts to steel man, three big baboons, simply real man, here's the deal man, real man, real man, real man, sing show tunes and play with puppets.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 10 of Friday Night Flashbacks. So we've been doing this now for 10 weeks, and it's hard to believe, you know, it's like 3 months of this. We started it off just to see what the heck would happen, and we've got a couple more left to come. I think we're going to finish it an even dozen, and we're excited to come back to flashbacks of shows tonight. And tonight we are flashing back to a show from 2012, in the summer of 2012, in the Balcony Theater, called Real Men Sing Show Tunes and Play with Puppets. Now, the reason for this is the only show that we've self-produced in 32 years that, as a world premiere, that moved from here to other places, which we'll talk about, and made it to off-Broadway, New York City, New World stages. So it was a really exciting process for us to have a show that moved to New York. And we've got some incredible guys who not only acted in it and sang in it and played with puppets and everything else, but they also wrote it. So let's bring out of the waiting room Mr. Nick Santamaria and Mr. Paul Lewis. Are you in the waiting room, gentlemen? Let's see your faces. There's Paul. How you doing, Paulie?
Dave, look at you.
How you doing, man? What about Nick? We got to get Nick in here. There's Nick. Hey,
everybody.
Hi.
And so this was a while ago, guys. You know, I mean, this is 8 years ago that we did this, and earlier
Crazy, huh?
We started working on it. So talk just a little bit about the early process, when you guys decided you wanted to write a show and then get a hold of me.
Wow. Nick and I...
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say something, Paul. Paulie came to me years back, even before we came to you with this, with that title. And I remember thinking to myself, well, what kind of marquee is going to be able to hold that title, even though it's fascinating, you know? And of course, I love working with Paulie, and we have a long history. But I was very hesitant about it until he came back to me and said, you know, I was talking to Dave, and you could pick it up from there, Paulie.
Yeah, I was talking to Dave, and Dave really loved the title as well. And I told him kind of the concept of the show, and I think I may have mentioned a few song titles that we were kind of messing around with. And he was intrigued. So, you know, we set a meeting. I think the three of us met, right, at John Martin's.
That's right, at John Martin's.
The now unfortunately defunct John Martin's, but that's where that's where I had a lot of my meetings over the years.
I know.
But yeah, and then really what happened was, folks, just so you understand a little bit, first of all, this is the show that is definitely PG-13. I didn't say that in the intro. So
hide the kids.
No kids.
Hide the kids.
It's not dirty, but it is PG-13 plus. Okay,
oh, yeah.
It's got some stuff in it. Okay, because it's an adult show. As far as subject matter. But it's fun. It's fun as heck. And they came to me with an idea. This theater had done a lot of shows with women themes, all wonderful shows. Menopause, Bombshells, World Premiere, Mary Beth Graham and Dana Rose show, See Jane Run. And then these guys came to me and said, this is a show about guys, being guys. And yeah, we want to have puppets in it too. So Paulie, what's the puppet? Tell people about your puppet background.
Sure. Well, needless to say, you know about my history, Dave. Well, I've always been fascinated by puppetry since I'm a little boy. Used to drive my mother crazy at the dinner table. I'd be doing this back and forth instead of, you know, eating my liver. But
ew. Your parents made you eat your organs?
Yeah, my dad was Hannibal Lecter. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
And anyway, I've been fascinated by puppetry, and I've always incorporated puppetry into a lot of projects that I do. I have a big background in children's theater, and I always tried to utilize puppetry. I created a children's series in the 90s that utilized puppetry.
That's right. You had a show called Jelly Bean Jungle. Is that right?
Jelly Bean Jungle. We shot.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, Nick was in it. Nick played Dozer the dodo bird, didn't you, Nick?
Dozer the bird. I was the bird. He talked like this.
And also, these guys are actually really excellent puppeteers too.
Oh,
Okay, besides
thank you,
being
Dave.
great singers.
Paulie taught me.
Yeah, well.
Well, the thing is, though, here's the challenge of writing a show about guys and not including, female actors to play our wives and our daughters and the women in our life in general. We wanted to keep it down to a minimum cast. So we said, let's bring some puppets in and let's have the puppets play our wives and our daughters and the women in our life. And it worked great. The audience really loved it. They embraced it. And we used all different types of puppetry, Muppet type of puppetry, which is hand and rod puppetry, live costume characters. We had like an 8-foot tall death character.
That's right, the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
And we even had, I believe we had shadow puppetry in the original show, which was your idea.
The original show, we even used shadow puppetry for the song about the car and the journey with the family.
Yeah, that was your idea, Dave.
Yeah,
and it worked pretty well. I know that
it was beautiful.
As the show moved on, but it was a lot of fun. Listen, we had a lot of fun making this thing.
That we did.
And remember, for the first year, over the course of that year, I think, Nick, you were in LA, weren't you?
I was in Los Angeles, but I was very fortunate in the sense that I was hired for the Glimmer Glass Opera Festival in upstate New York, in Cooperstown. Now, they put me in a 2-story house in the middle of a cornfield, which is kind of apropos for me. But I didn't have internet. I didn't have television. All I had was time to write.
Yeah.
So I used that summer to write most of, my end of the show, of course.
Because, you guys wrote together, but you wrote separately. You did.
We're like Lennon and McCartney.
Well, that's the thing. I had a bunch of funny songs. Nick had a bunch of funny songs. I had a lot of children's theater songs that I've written over the years that I changed lyrics to for this production. And so some of the songs, Nick wrote entirely on his own. Some I wrote entirely on my own, and some of them we did right down the middle. And, so we do have that Lennon-McCartney arrangement. All the songs are just, Nick Santa Maria.
It's just Paul Lewis. The two of us. In fact, one of our songs from the show is in a movie.
That's right.
Really?
It was picked up for a movie called Waiting in the Wings.
Well, actually, Still Waiting in the Wings, the sequel.
Yeah, part 2. That's part 2. It's a sequel. He wanted it for the original, though. Manly Ballerinas has the most life of all the songs in the show. It's been done more times by other people than any other song in our show.
Manly Ballerinas, folks, was a song that at first I went, how the heck does this fit into this show? And then I found out the history of it and how these two guys had done it together. And basically it was like I wanted to do a show that women could bring their husbands, boyfriends, whatever that they would laugh because they saw men in self-deprecating humor. And at the same time, the women would laugh because they saw what idiots we can be,
Exactly.
We laugh about it because the women are nudging the husbands and boyfriends saying, see, that's you, see?
Well, let's take a look at a number right now from the production at Actors Playhouse in 2012, and you'll see a little bit of puppetry and you'll see a little bit of Nick and Paulie. This is Listen.
Oh, Poppy, so sorry I'm late.
Oh, man. Oh, you look great.
Oh, you look nice too, Poppy.
Hey, have a seat, huh? Well, so, tell me, how was your day?
Well,
You gotta listen to every freaking word. Just listen, even stuff that sounds absurd. If she's going on and on about her sister's wedding, don't find yourself forgetting you're gonna see her betting. And if she's droning on and on, just be a visionary. Just picture being merry in position missionary. Just listen, though it sounds inane. Just listen, and though it seems a pain. By lending your ear as she's bending your ear, you'll soon get to hear what you really wanna hear. Just listen, and for God's sake, look sincere.
All right, so that's a little piece of Listen, and a little bit of the humor of the show, and how we laughed at our own expenses and at the female male expense of David. of everything in this show. And we've got two other important people we want to bring on who were part of this production. And that's Manny Schwartzman and Steve Anthony. Manny was our musical director. Steve was the third actor in the show. Let's bring him out of the waiting room right now. Do we have Manny? Do we have Steve? Let's take
Hey!
Hey!
Oh, look at that guy.
I don't even know, man.
Steve Anthony.
Say hello, Steve Anthony.
What's up?
It's Sunday in the park with Steve.
So
Yeah, right.
I remember that we talked about it being a three-person show, and you guys, I think, already had Steve in mind, correct?
We wrote it for him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Steve is definitely a guy's guy and extremely talented man and funny as hell. So, it was a no-brainer.
We wrote it for him with him in mind.
Steve, did you realize? Oh, that's good. The urinals is good, Steve. We'll talk about that next. But the main thing was that these guys also play instruments. So we had a guitar in the show, we had ukulele in the show, we had the upright bass in the show, and then all of a sudden we needed a musical director. We needed someone to play the accompaniment. At the time, because of budgets, we decided that we would just do it just with a piano the first time. And there was this young man that was that I worked with, and I think this was the first show we did together, Manny. Right? This is before Ice.
So.
Yeah, and so when I called you up and said, listen, how'd you like to MD this brand new world premiere? And by the way, I think a lot of the music has to be arranged.
I think.
So you and Paulie got together to talk about that process.
Oh, man.
And I mean, I know
Manny. Manny, just give me 2 seconds here to say, God forgive me. Manny, I put Manny through hell because, I mean, I don't read music. So everything that I had to, convey to Manny was directly from my head. And I'll never forget. I used to always say, like, why can't you hear what I'm thinking?
That's right.
And remember, I would hum the songs to you and send you those tracks.
Yeah.
And that's how we got the tunes to him.
No,
so
but Manny,
these two guys are songwriters, folks, but they're not piano players. Okay, they can write a song on the guitar, they can write a song on the ukulele or whatever, but they're not piano players. So poor Manny is trying to take melodies and harmonies, and he's trying to figure out what chord structure is in these guys' brains, and basically arranging all of these songs over the course of about 6 to 9 months. Right, Manny?
Just about. I think, I think we got in touch like in the fall for a summer show of the following year. I think, right?
Yeah, I knew by the summer of the year before that we were going to do the show. I think I got in touch with you probably that summer or that fall, and you guys started probably working at the end of the fall, and then we did the show in the summer. And by the way, we should tell people a little bit about what Manny's been doing lately. Manny, what have you been doing before, obviously, right now? But you've had a little success recently with a couple of hot shows, right?
I guess so. So I left South Florida to go do On Your Feet, which I had helped the pre-Broadway production through Broadway. And then the day that ended, I got offered to go on the Hamilton tour. But like all of us, who cares what show you're on? You're stuck at home and there's no,
Yeah, but not a bad couple of shows to be on, Manny. We're really proud of you.
Yeah.
It's really been amazing.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And you did great work on the music. And Steve, as a matter of fact, let's just show a little clip, since Steve has the urinals in the background. Let's show a little clip of the famous scene when the men run into the bathroom at a sporting event or wherever, and no one wants to take the middle urinal. All right?
That sums it up pretty well. Yeah.
At any public men's latrine, there are rules we guys all know. Leave an empty space between. But the number one rule is so. Look straight ahead, look straight ahead, look straight ahead, and never speak. Keep your eyes upon the wall when you take a leak. Clear your throat, fake a cough, that's a good technique. But look straight ahead, look straight ahead, look straight ahead, and never speak. I'm at my bladder's beck and call, I cannot circumvent. It's like I live inside a stall, I should be paying rent.
And when I sit and moan and groan with hemorrhoidal ass, now I've got a kidney stone.
Although this too shall pass. Look straight ahead, look straight ahead, look straight ahead like in a trance. For if you slightly glance aside,
You take a stupid chance.
so snap a photo to remember this our stoic stance. But first we'll entertain you with our manly pee-pee dance. Zip, 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 zip. Cough, cough, clear that throat. Zip, 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 zip. Look right up and flush, flush. Zip, 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 zip. Cough, cough, clear that throat. Zip, 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 zip.
Okay, I warned you. I warned Steve. Talk a little bit about your participation in the show. We haven't had much of a chance to hear from you today, but you were both you and Manny, I don't want to say the outsiders, but coming into this with Paulie and Nick not only being the writers but performers, and there you are with them the whole time. Boom.
Yeah, they forced me into the straight man role. What can I tell you?
I wonder why.
The urinals behind me, excuse me, are homage to the very first tune that Paulie ever shared with me when he was hatching this whole idea. And he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Paulie, if the rest of the songs are anything like this, you've got something special in your hands."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So please watch them. No, I didn't say.
Yeah, and then we did a workshop. When we did the workshop, Manny, were you involved in the workshop? I think you were. Yeah, because I remember and while I'm talking about this, we'll show you a little bit of just in the background of the workshop where we just grabbed a bunch of puppets that Paul and Nick had, and we just did the show, and the music was on the stands. I mean, we went through the whole developmental process of this show. It was really,
we did. I think we only cut like 2 songs from that workshop, if any, from the original production. And I remember when we were done, we asked if there were any negative comments, or constructive criticism. Not one. Everybody loved it the way it was.
And if you remember, Paulie, it was a very diverse audience. It was different ages, different sexes, and nobody had a bad thing to say.
Yeah, and it was just fun. We were really surprised and happy and we knew we had a show, and then we had to figure out now how to produce the show. And so one of the most exciting things about this show was that this show moved. This show went places. So Nick, you were the first one to take the show to a theater in LA.
Right. I was appearing in Arsenic and Old Lace, and the artistic director came in one day. We had just done the reading of it, and I had a DVD of it. And he said, "Can I borrow the DVD?" And I said, "Sure." He took it home that night. He watched it. The next night he came in and said, "Can I put this in my season next year?" And I was like, "We haven't even done a production of it yet. We haven't done Dave's production of it yet, really."
Yeah. Right. So when you came here, you already knew you were going to do it the next year, but it was already
booked.
These gentlemen didn't do it with you in LA, but then we got the incredible opportunity. Well, not the incredible. You guys worked really hard. Talk about how you tried to get into the NYMF Festival in New York City.
Raising money.
Well, a friend of
those for Friday Night Flash.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Good health, everybody.
All right, salud. So, Paulie, go ahead. You said
no. I was saying a friend of Nick, Omri Shrine. Omri. Really nice guy. Nick was doing a show with him. He had a show in the New York Musical Theater Festival the year prior, and we were intrigued by it. So, we did our research and we applied, and they loved the idea. But the thing is, you have to raise your own money for a lot of the fees that the festival charges. And so we did an Indiegogo campaign, and in 1 month we raised over like $40,000. And we also had a few not offline events. I think my wife threw like a wine gathering where people pay a ticket, and we had a raffle and a little auction. So it was great. We raised the money and we got into the festival, and we took Manny along with us, and Steve and Dave.
Yeah, that was when we all got back together again, and we went.
It was like a reunion.
And we went to, what was that little cabaret room down? The Lori.
Yeah, they gave us the Lori. Now, here's the thing: the New York Musical Theater Festival gives theaters to each production to produce in. So we thought we were going to get this theater the size of Actors Playhouse. We wound up getting a place called the Laurie Beachman Theater. Was literally a 100-seat cafe, like a cabaret cafe. And we were a little concerned about that, but we made it work. Somehow we made it work on this tiny little stage. It was about maybe
no room in the wings at all.
At all.
You know?
And
so we made it work.
And somehow we even
with
fit
like
Manny.
one rehearsal, right?
Yeah.
Remember we had like a day rehearsal?
That's right. That's
just a few hours.
We had to brush up in Miami for about a week, I think.
Right. And then we met there.
And we staged it for 2 days.
But I remember that was a stressful day. Like we were all standing on the street corner when all the props and everything arrived, and
and during a heat wave on top of it.
And then all of a sudden they say like 10 o'clock in the morning, okay, you got the stage till 5 and you're on tonight.
Right.
Or something.
Right. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Steve, where the hell did we fit the upright bass there?
I don't think we used one. No, we did a non.
Did that?
I remember, guys. We did no instruments for that number.
Yeah, because there really was no room.
And matter of fact, we even cut the giant 8-foot-tall Grim Reaper from that number as well.
We had to. There was no room.
And so Manny was still playing the show at Laurie Beachman. You were still playing by yourself, Manny, right?
Yep. No,
I have to say though, Manny at the festival was not only the piano player, musical director, he was also the announcer for all the scenes. We have a voiceover, so he was.
We didn't have the screen in the back.
That's right. So there are some chapters. There are names of chapters that are read before each song. Usually, it's a voiceover by Steve.
You remember, Manny?
It was Manny acting.
I was more nervous about that.
You did a great job.
I do remember now.
And Manny was in the ivories like a son of a gun because he's so fabulous. And,
great.
And all you guys were great. And
we added a drummer. Brian Raddock.
So we added a drummer at Beachman. I couldn't remember whether we added the drummer at the next phase. So the most exciting thing, and the reason we were coming to you tonight about the show, besides the fact that this is a great show, and other theaters should consider doing it, and it's gone through, geez, how many different names has this thing gone through?
Oh, God.
We're presently on our 5th incarnation of titles here. Right now, we're calling it tentatively A Woman's Guide for Men. I don't know, personally, I love real men, end of story, but
we're hearing it's not politically correct.
Well, the world's shifting, and some of the humor is still damn funny, but it still works. But it's just I guess that real men idea is something that's just kind of like, what does that mean? But it's just fun, guys, and we had such great audience. I think we got great reviews too for this show.
We did. We got surprisingly great reviews in New York. New York's a tough crowd, though. Going to be honest.
Very tough.
We got rave reviews in Miami, rave reviews in Los Angeles, and we got good reviews in New York. And
then somehow you guys got someone to decide to produce it, and then
we got the best off-Broadway theater in town. Actually, someone canceled.
That was the exciting part, was that the theater you guys wanted to go to, which is New World Stage, is off.
We couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe it when it opened up like that, and to be there during the holidays doing our show was just a dream come true.
The great thing about running a show there, our show there in particular, is because we were directly across from where they were doing Avenue Q. So I wanted to have a puppet rumble between the two puppets, our puppets and their puppets, to start, slugging it out. A pummel.
Yeah.
Steve, you'd already done an off-Broadway, hadn't you? Hadn't you already done Hank Williams' Lost Highway before that?
Yes. Yeah, at the Little Schubert back in 02, 03, something like that.
And this is before Manny got famous, so
right. Hey, I've done 2 Broadway shows, guys.
All right.
One of them was the biggest show in the world at the time, the producers.
That's true. And I remember that I left New York City.
Amusingly enough, in the Broadway softball league, the producers, I think, won 3 years in a row, the softball, until we beat them. The Hank Williams.
You beat them?
All right.
Good for you, Steve.
I remember that my wife used to always tease me when she used to say, Dave, you worked in New York for 10 years, you tried to get on Broadway, and but your 11-year-old stepson did. So, and that always made me feel great. But finally, we got a show to New York. A show in 2 actors Playhouse, and
I want to say something before you finish, Dave. You are the hero of this show. You're the one that gave the thumbs up on the slightest amount of material And Paulie and I will forever be grateful to you.
Yeah, I mean, you trusted two schmucks like us to produce a show at your theater, and so we'll always be grateful for. So to Dave Arisco.
To Dave Arisco.
I'll drink to myself.
Hey.
Drink to yourself, Dave.
Hey, while we're at it, that's when you gave me a shot.
That's true. You know, this was a
lot of opportunities.
And
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Manny, you were the new kid. I mean, I knew these guys for a long time. You know, like since the late 80s.
Late 80s, 89 is when I met you.
All three of these gentlemen, and you were someone who came in and just impressed me, and I was. It's great. It's great to see.
We couldn't have done any better than Manny.
It's great to see your success, and it's great to see, you know, and remember how much you helped us with this show. It was so much fun. And I remember being, you know, there we were. I remember I had a friend call me and say, "There's the marquee, the Real Men on the street right there off 8th Avenue or whatever," you know. And it's like, it was great. It was a great,
incredible.
You know, and I'm really proud of you guys. And I urge other theater producers and people who might be watching or might be here to check out this play. The audiences love it. It's fun. The actors have a blast, and you can do it so many different ways.
We are published right now at a publishing company, Miracle or Two Publishing, I believe they're called.
Publishing,
www.miracleor2.com, and the 2 is the number 2, miracle2.com.
But anyway, so just a blast talking to you. We had a great run. I just thought the audience. We also want to talk about one last thing, and that's the famous puppet that became a costume instead of a puppet. Do you remember the original drawing?
Are we allowed to talk about that?
Can we talk about that?
The original drawing that Paulie showed me was shocking. Okay,
mm-hmm. Right. Can I tell you something? This one I'm going to take credit for. I was told it was going to be a hand puppet. I said no. It has to be a full body puppet, and I drew it out for Ellis.
Ellis Tillman built it,
and he approved it.
And let's put it this way. Let's put it this way for the people at home. This puppet costume stands erect.
Yes, and you know what? When you see it, it'll grow on you. You may not like it at first, but it'll grow.
And then when the wife hits it with the ball, when Steve comes in with the wife with the rolling pin, it also seems to get unerect.
What was the line? We're out of sweet and low.
We're out of sweet and low. Okay.
We're out of sweet and low.
There's the voice. We're out of sweet and low.
But you know, can I just say something though? I mean, the whole point of that number, it was basically about guys and the things we go through. And when you're married after a while, no matter, you could be the Albert Einstein, but once you're home and your family, you are the village idiot. And so,
that's what the song's about.
And that's basically what it's about. You know, so without that part of your body, symbolically, you're emasculated, I guess, you know. And it was
I mean, the whole scene was you were getting ready to go out that night, and then your wife is saying something, and the song has a great title.
And then I'm stuck at home, and then I realize I don't have my best friend with me anymore.
Yeah, your best friend departed, and so he came back for you to have a lovely dance with. But I remember years later, I was actually visiting people in New York City, and some guy came in, and he said he had been doing that Mad Lib show that was sharing the stage with us, and he said to me, "Wait a minute, are you got the guys that had that giant puppet in the dressing room?" And it was the talk of New York that we must have been out of our minds.
Do you know, part of the producer's idea of advertising the show when we were off Broadway, he wanted me to put on that costume
and walk up and down
and go to Times Square and like talk to people. And I had to really soul search. And I said, I don't think that's what my parents had in mind for me.
It's come to this. I am a giant.
It's come to this.
Yes. So let's just go around the horn one time, Manny to Steve, to Paulie, to Nick, and just talk, just last impressions of our times together with Real Men. We'll start with Manny.
I loved it. Do you guys, I wanted to mention this earlier. Do you remember telling Brian, our drummer, giving him the note, can you please stop laughing?
He used to laugh at the old man scene every night. He would lose it.
Yeah. I learned a lot. I had a great time just taking the show from audio recordings. Some of the tunes I remember you had sort of orchestrated them like in your.
Yeah, a little bit with MIDI, yeah.
But I don't remember how many times we sat on my couch and the piano and just talked and pounded music out until we got frustrated and just said, all right, tomorrow's a new day. We'll try again tomorrow. And,
yeah.
Just getting, for me, it was just learning. What was the show, like 2 hours long? How long?
It had two acts. I don't know if it was.
Yeah, originally it was 2 hours. Yeah.
Right.
And there's
with 2 acts.
All music. I would say 85 to 90% of it was just music. So for me, it was just learning. All right, how do we make every tune sound, have its individuality, and stand on its own, so that my accompaniment doesn't sound similar,
Right. Just playing on piano from one of, which is also why the drum was added. And I know in LA there was a bass added too. And I think
we have 4 pieces in LA.
Yeah,
Wally.
Yep.
And in the final New World Stages one, Manny, you came in and helped with the rehearsal, but a gentleman named Martin Landry did the piano playing, and he actually was just here, folks, in Murder for Two.
Yeah.
I think last summer. Which is how I met him.
Talented guy, man. Wow.
Very talented, very versatile guy.
So, Steve Anthony, tell me a little bit about your experiences with Real Men.
It was just so much fun. I remember standing in front of that marquee in New York and thinking back on that first day that Paulie introduced me to the song that I'm sitting in front of. And I just thought to myself, this is surreal. This is like it was unbelievable. It was great.
Yeah, it was a great journey. And Paulie and Nick, last comments?
Again, I'm so grateful to you and Barbara and Larry for giving us this opportunity. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Actors Playhouse is family to all of us here. I'm getting verklempt here thinking about it, but it's really true.
Don't.
It's really true.
I love you guys. And Nick, it was so great to have you back a couple of years ago too on The Big Bang.
Thank you, bud. It was good. It was great to hang with you. It really was. And can I say one thing before we end?
Of course, buddy.
I have one other person to thank, and that's Jason Alexander, who saw the show on the computer while he was preparing for his colonoscopy.
That's right.
And wrote to me and said, and he wrote to me and said, under these circumstances, me loving this show is really saying something. What can I do for you? And he went to bat for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did a series of promotional videos for us, absolutely free.
Absolutely.
We met him for lunch, and our intention was just to have him say a little thing into the camera right there over dinner. And he had a better idea. He said, "You know what? I have a great idea. Let's go to my house and we'll shoot all these videos."
Yeah, and I love that video when you're giving him the money and he's shooting.
We pay him. He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Quick funny story, which kind of relates to Real Men and being.
Oh, this is my favorite. This is my favorite story.
So we're standing out there filming these videos, and all of a sudden his wife comes out of the backyard wearing gardening gloves, and she looks, and we all stop and look at her. Oh hi, and he's looking really nervous. And she goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm just doing in that George Costanza voice. I'm doing a little video with my friends here, like that." So we thought she was going to say like, "Well, are they paying you? Whatever, is your agent involved?" Instead, she looks at him and goes, "And you're wearing that shirt?"
We wanted to put it in the show.
That could have been a line.
He became 9 years old in front of us.
Yeah, well, we've all been through it.
And
yes, we have.
That is the essence of our show, Real Men.
So
That's it, right there.
One last toast to all of our efforts and all of your efforts and great writing and great performing and great orchestrations and Real Men.
Thank you, everybody.
Cheers. Thank you.
And we're going to take a look at a number that actually is a serious number. This isn't the funny puppet song. This is a beautiful song done by Nick and Paulie and Steve. Real Man. A real man. Beautiful song. And guys, I love you all. And thanks for being here. For Friday.
Love you, pal.
Bye, guys.
Later, guys.
Good to see everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
The years went by, and he lay there in his bed. He looked like dead no more, and his eyes, they tried to see me. Through his aging whisper, my heart soared as he held me close and softly told me, I'm so proud you're mine, so strong in all you do. Just wait and see, your son will be a real man. Just like you. And I'm a real man because of you.
And that's one of the more beautiful songs in the show. I mean, they write great music, and Manny did a great job with the music, and they're great performers, even without their instruments and even without the puppets. But the humor of the show, the drive of the show, the self-deprecating humor, the fact that the men were, like Paulie was saying, the men were just being these guys, thinking they own the world, and their wives are running the shows, and their girlfriends and their families. And it just was a heck of a lot of fun. And very proud of the fact that this show got to New World stages in New York City. It's one of those rare things. And so, of course, this is the time when I have to say, if you've enjoyed what we've been doing with Friday Night Flashbacks, and if you've enjoyed Actors Playhouse for the last 32 years, 25 of them here at the Miracle Theater, we have the donate situation where you can text the number into your phone, like I do every week, 243-725. Then when the text field comes up, you put Give AP, GIVEAP. And you can donate as little and as much as you would like. And I always say, if all of you would just give something, we can make it through this time. So because I know you all want us to come back. We want to come back. We want you on our seats. And we just can't wait to get back to doing what we do. As you can see when we get together in all of these videos, we have a lot of fun seeing each other again. We work really hard, but we have a lot of fun too. And we create some great work, and we have some great memories over these last, 32 years really, not just 25 at the Miracle, 32. And I want to thank Larry and Barbara Stein and the board and everybody for supporting us all this time and letting me do crazy things like Real Men. And it's been quite a run, folks. And thanks for joining us for Friday Night Flashbacks. Have a great night, and let's watch a montage of Real Men.
Typical real man, tap and toe and heel man, hearts to steel man, 3 big baboons, simply real man, here's the deal man, real man, real man, real man, sing show tunes and play with puppets.
400 bucks for the shoes that she wore, 650 at her favorite restaurant, 9.5 bought the dinner of her life. It cost me $2,000